Story time is basically a segment where, you know, people tell me their stories. They send me their stories to foodchannel1960 at gmail.com. You can look in my description below. A few years ago, she used to live in Africa and stuff. And she said her mom found every reason in the book for her not to date her man at the time. She's married to the dude now, the brother, right? They're married with 2 kids. Long and short was, this lady said back in Africa, she was dating this dude at the time. He was a boyfriend. And she said, you know, mom, her dad, who's late now, dad was a lot more laid back. Dad would give her advice and stuff. Mom, firecracker, right? And she said, oh, he's a never to do well type. Oh, he just wants to get between your legs. And then she said, even at that time, there was nothing like love making in the picture, right? They were dating and all that. And they were kind of like, you know, growing together. So she said she met him in the very late, in the last lap of her teenage years. And then when the mom found out, she was already 22, okay? So a 22-year-old, big deal, would have a boyfriend. Come on, man. But of course, some African parents have a totally different, you know, outlook. So anyway, she said mom got really dramatic about the whole thing. And then he said the dude's parents, on the other hand, were very nice and kind to her. You know, they gave her great reception and all that stuff. And at the time, they didn't make a fuss. And said the only thing the dude's dad would say is, y'all don't get yourselves, you know, pregnant. But of course, it's aimed at her. Like, look, it's all well and good, boyfriend and girlfriend. We've got nothing against it. But don't get pregnant, you know, whilst you still got a lot of boxes to tick, like your qualifications and get your life in order, you know, which is a very good parental advice. You would agree, right? Oh, she left him in Nigeria, but, you know, it became a long distance thing. And then her mom kind of jumped on that, and then she was feeding this lady lies, even using her siblings. Oh, he's seen other ladies now. I told you he's a never to do well type. He's laying more wood than the pencil factory. He's blah, 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 XYZ. Cut the long story short, the dude found his way as well, came to the UK. They rekindled their relationship and all that. And then when the mom found out that the dude was in the UK and they had amalgamated their feelings like they already did in the background anyway, she kicked up a fuss and all that. So you get the picture that the mom didn't support. But so after some time, she put her foot down and said, you know, that's the man that I'm going to marry. So they got married here in the UK. She said at the time she had the ability to invite her mom over for her wedding. She deliberately, because she didn't want any hassle. But even though they did the traditional stuff back home, over time, she said, all their siblings were not doing that great monetarily. So she was the one sending money home to support her mom every month. Her husband would also support with like £200, £150 and say, you know, give mom for upkeep, whilst he's also supporting his own family. All right. So then, and as I normally say, it got to a point where they were clearly struggling with finance here in England. So they had to cut back. So the dude was able to let his own families know that, yo, I can't keep up with the monthly allowances because I've got life, I've got responsibility, children and all that. Bi-monthly, every 2 months or 3 months, if I'm able to lay my hands on something, I'll be able to rem it. But I can't keep up with the monthly. But these ladies' mom kicked up a fuss and said it was the dude's, her husband's doing, not wanting her to reap the fruit of her labor. Then, over time, she was able to start a little business on the side here. She was making money. And this is my favorite part. This is what I talk about: sentiments. Business, family. Sentiments, family. Don't do it. So she wanted to start building, you know, she decided that she wanted to build a house back in Nigeria, buy a piece of land like you do, and then start remitting money. So long and short, she was sending money to her mom. help me buy a piece of land and all that stuff. She said when the land was bought, they had the CFO and all the paperwork's done. They sent the paperwork for the parcel of land via DHL to her here in the UK. She looked at everything. Everything checked out right. Looked, well, when I say checked out right, she didn't do background checks. Visually, it looked all right. So she accepted the documents, right? Because why? It was my mom. And then remitted, you know, a truckload of money for building projects and all that. And the project should have, was meant to be a 5-bedroom duplex. And then at some point found out midway that it's all been lies. The piece of land, the documents she had with her here in the UK was all lies, was all fake documents that was fabricated. It was a fraudulent instrument that was fabricated by her mom. So she found out, she kicked up a fuss and all that stuff, and then the husband, you know, threatened to get her mom, who would have been his, what, mother-in-law, get her arrested and all that stuff, and, you know, emotions flying, very rightly so. They've lost, his wife has clearly lost a huge amount of money. And so families got involved, and this is the bit that drives me personally up the wall. There was a lot of so-called elders that would ask you to let it slide, which I would never. If it was me, I would never. But hey, that's someone's story, right? You know, that obviously, you know, totally killed off the, you know, mother-daughter relationship, and her siblings were involved. She said she lost millions of naira. And trying to get back on her legs and all that, on her feet and all that stuff, she cut the mom off, right? It was very emotional, very painful. She lost a whole lot of money, and some money belonged to her husband, right? Now, check this out. Check this. So she said she's not spoken to her mom in about 3 years. So not too long ago, just a few weeks ago, she got an email from one of her siblings about, oh, you abandoned your mom, blah, 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 blah. You're also going to grow old. Usual sentiments, right? African sentiment. One afternoon, she was driving, took the kids grocery shopping here in the UK, and her phone was ringing. So she picked up the number, and then it was mom with some family members in the background. And then she started to yell and start to say, you abandoned me. You need to come and ask me for forgiveness. You see the audacity of these people, man. You need to come and ask me for forgiveness if you don't want to end up cursed, and if you don't want to end up abandoned by your own children. Emotional blackmail. It's a, you know, usual, what do you call it, man? It's the usual template of, you know, they try to use that to bamboozle you, to suppress your thought process and, you know, make you feel guilty, which is all lies. So, you need to start giving me my, like they say in Yoruba language, owunje, my feeding allowance. If you don't, you're going to perish. Hey, yo, man. So the lady said, even with the atrocities from before, she still kind of refrained from using certain words because there's a back of your brain that still tells you, oh, that's my mom. Even though it's blatant that your mom is being a monster, though, you still think to give them this heightened amount of respect, right? Please, if you're watching this, if you are in doubt, I'm going to use my voice to say, right? Let me say to you, man, it is not a Nigerian culture, neither is it an African culture to steal from your son or your daughter or from your children, to shatter their trust to smithereens and have the audacity to ask them to come and apologize because you think you exist on some self-generated pedestal, right? It's very common in the African community, is in our black community. They will see the truth and they will distort it. They will bend it. They will bend it, they will take you around in circles and try to, you know, impose their BS on you, try to just suppress you, and they can see the truth. They can blatantly see that the woman is in the wrong, but they will just look in the other direction and pretend like there is nothing to see. So she said to me that her husband, you know, basically, of course, he's angry, but equally unhappy about the whole situation. So the husband has pleaded with her to refrain from, you know, mudslinging, further mudslinging, and or you know, anything of that nature, just to leave the whole situation. And she said, interestingly, the word on the streets around the family circuit is her husband is the enabler. Remember, the mom has this age-old resentment against the man anyway. So, and you know what? This is not gender specific. It's the same thing, right? If it was the other way around, they would say it was your partner. So it's a very common thing. Say, for example, you're a man, your mom or your dad is trying to get money off you, and they can't get money off you. When they get frustrated, they get really desperate, they start pointing finger at your woman. So this is why I'm saying it's not gender specific. If it's the woman, they'll start saying it's your man that's in the background, that's working against them. And they usually do this in a desperate bid to try to, you know, sabotage and obliterate that relationship. They just say to you like, oh, yeah, it's our culture. So, and there is this thing that people expect you to be a conformist. Don't ask questions. That's how it's done. That's how it must be done. It's been done like that for generations. And so the moment you start to ask questions, they paint you as a black sheep. They label you as being rebellious. They call you every name in the book that you can ever imagine. Right? So all of these things are weaponized as a form of mental conditioning. And if I may ask, what good have these messy way of living, what good have they really done the black community? If you want to support my channel, the # Phrankleen Cash App link is in the description for my PayPal or something like that, or you can join my membership. Thank you, and I'll catch you in the very next one. All right, peace and love. Bye now.